Caution, you are about to enter the no-spin zone. The factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. No talking points memo this evening because I want to get right to our talk with Bob Woodward, author of the new book, State of Denial. The book says President Bush and his war team did not heed warnings about Iraq, and they do not brook dissent. The result, according to the book, is a failed policy and tons of infighting among Bush cabinet members. Now, last night on The Factor, former White House Chief of Staff Andrew Card said Mr. Woodward quoted him correctly but reached faulty conclusions.
I can understand why he might have a perception that he does, but it's the wrong perception, and his perception may reflect his own bias.
Okay. Also, the New York Times today reported that friends of George Tenet believe Mr. Woodward misreported the tone of a meeting about terrorism prior to 9/11 between Tenet, the former CIA chief, and Condoleezza Rice. The Times says, quote, both current and former officials, including allies of Mr. Tenet, took issue with Mr. Woodward's account that he and his aides had left the meeting feeling that Ms. Rice had ignored them. Now, to be fair, every controversial book is disputed, every strong opinion attacked. Joining us now from Washington, author of State of Denial, Bob Woodward. Okay, I got lots of time with you this evening. So
okay, can I take them one at a time?
You can. No, you know, I'm not real interested in that so much.
Okay.
I just want to get on the record that some people are questioning, you know, your controversial book, and I think that you obviously expected that.
Oh, of course. But Andy Card, as he said last night on your show, that all the quotes in my book are accurate that he knows about.
Yeah, but the whole White House team...
That's a great starting point.
The whole White House team says you were honest in your reportage, but you came in with a preconceived thesis or hypothesis that the war is a failure, and you were looking to bolster that. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but so I want to start at the beginning.
That's not true.
I want to start at the beginning. What is the headline of your book? If you were a headline writer, what is the headline?
The title, State of Denial, that the evidence going way back, even before the Iraq War, shows that when people issued warnings or came in and said, like Jay Garner, who was the first post-war Iraq official, went to Rumsfeld in the summer of 2003 and said, we've made 3 tragic decisions. It didn't get through, and they didn't act on it. Here's the former general, well-respected, that they had hired, comes in and says not only 3 tragic decisions, but they're reversible, and the issue doesn't even get addressed.
Okay, but in every war, there are people who come in and say you should do it this way, you should do it that way. Lincoln, what did he fire? 5 commanders. Washington was firing commanders. World War II, commanders shuttling in and out. You know the fog of war and the chaos of war. But I'm interested in whether you, Bob Woodward, are saying to the American people that Iraq is a lost cause. Are you saying that?
No. I'm saying it's been very, very difficult 3.5 years, and their public pronouncements, I mean, as you know, and would I'm sure agree with, the President needs to be optimistic and positive.
Absolutely.
But for dozens of occasions, very specific, that I point out in the book, there's secret intelligence reports, or somebody comes in and says, for instance, there's an insurgency, and the President's response is, I don't want to read about that in the New York Times, rather than dealing with the evidence. That's all.
But you haven't come to the conclusion that the Iraq War is lost, have you?
No.
Okay. I just want to get that on a record.
Sure.
All right. Now, the problem with your book, then, is that the people who want us to lose in Iraq, and there are far-left people in this country who want us to lose, and the media, which generally despises the Bush administration, has taken what you've reported, in my opinion, out of context. Let me just quote you from the New York Times review of your book. All right? They say, in Bob Woodward's highly anticipated new book, State of Denial, President Bush emerges as a passive, impatient, sophomoric, an intellectually incurious leader, presiding over a grossly dysfunctional war cabinet and given to an almost religious certainty that makes him disinclined to rethink or reevaluate decisions he has made about the war. Do you think that's a fair assessment of what you wrote?
Well, that's one, and there's a lot of unhappy news in this book.
Do you think that's a fair?
It.
No, wait a minute. Do you think that
Sure.
is a fair assessment? Impatient, sophomoric, intellectually incurious, isn't going to change his mind no matter what. Is it fair?
Well, I wouldn't use some of those adjectives like sophomoric, but as I report in the book on the issue of changing his mind, he told a bunch of Republican leaders last year, I won't withdraw even if Laura and Barney are the only ones supporting
I got that. I got that. But it's a commander-in-chief thing.
Well,
you know, it's sending the message to the troops that we're behind you. It's sending the message to the Iraqi government that we're not going to bail on you. And you know that kind of psychology has to take place at that level, at the presidential level. You can't send a message to our troops who are dying and the Iraqi government who is at risk as well that you may or may not back them. You know that.
Well, no. In fact, for the earlier books, I had long discussions with President Bush about this issue, and I said to him, based on my reporting after 9/11, for instance, he was the voice of realism. He was the one after 9/11, as you may recall, who said it's going to be tough and it's going to be hard. We're probably going to be attacked again. Now, when there's secret reports saying the insurgency is going to get worse in 2007, he goes public and gives speeches and says the terrorists are in retreat. I know soldiers on the ground or soldiers who've returned from Iraq who tell me they know how bad it is. The violence is going up. I had somebody who just returned from Iraq call me and said it's like a Mad Max movie.
But Mr. Woodward, I know you hear that, and I hear that too, but for every soldier who tells you that, I can produce a soldier that tells you the opposite, that we've got them on the run, that if we stay the course, we're going to wear the insurgency down. Well, no, I mean, it is true that in certain areas of the country, Iraq, the insurgency is tamped down. There are 3 out-of-control provinces right now, according to our military analysts. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't have any quibble with your book. I think it's an important book and people should look at it and read it. But I do think that your book is being used by elements in this country that want us to lose in Iraq. And that things that you say are being seized upon by those people to say, look at that idiot Bush. Look at that idiot Rumsfeld. They don't know what they're doing, and they're getting Americans killed. I don't think you believe that. I don't think you believe that.
But what's the alternative, Bill? Do I then not write the truth as I find it as a reporter?
But you just said to me, you don't think we're losing in Iraq. You don't think that. See, what I'm worried about.
No. I'm saying you asked me the question: is this a lost war? And I said, I don't know the answer to that. The last 3.5 years, which is what this book is about, have really been hard. The people on the ground know it.
Absolutely. This is brutal.
You know it.
Absolutely.
Know it.
I've said it from the very beginning. This is brutal. This is not the war that we first fought. It has morphed into another war, and mistakes have been made. Mistakes have been made all day long. But I don't know if the United States is going to prevail here. But I do know one thing. Mr. Woodward, I do know one thing. That your book is being used by those who want us to fail. And it's troubling.
It's factual.
Let me take a break.
It's factual.
All right. Let me take a break.
Sure.
I got a number of other questions for you. It's a fascinating conversation. And later, Ann Coulter will weigh in on the Congressman Foley scandal, which is heating up. And that's up ahead.